Good morning, and welcome to Philosophy Live. My name is Rachel Kellet, and I'm a student and tutor from the North East branch of the School of Philosophy and Economic Science. We're going to be examining this little book in the talk today, In Tune with the Infinite by Waldo Trine. When I first picked this book up, I was pleased that it looked quite thin. But when I started to read it, it seemed quite dense, and I really had to concentrate. After a while, though, I got into his style of writing, and I began to feel really nourished by his words. I found reading the book an uplifting experience. It reminds you to be your best self. There is no doubt in this book. Trine knows what he believes, and he wants us all to benefit from his discoveries. So I would recommend reading this book if you haven't already done so. And after all, it's only quite thin. Well, we'll just wait for everyone else to join us. Hello, and welcome to Philosophy Live. Today we're going to take a look at Ralph Waldo Trine's spiritual classic, In Tune with the Infinite, particularly his chapter, The Secret, Power and Effects of Love. Sounds good, doesn't it? Trine was an American author, philosopher, teacher, and animal rights activist who wrote many books on the New Thought movement. Although he is relatively unknown, his book, In Tune with the Infinite, has sold over 2 million copies and has been translated into more than 20 languages. I have a photo to share of him. Doesn't he look like a benevolent chap? Trine was born in Illinois in 1866 and lived to the ripe old age of 91. He wrote over 20 books, still writing into his 70s. Growing up, he received a good education and went on to study at several different universities, studying the arts and history, along with social and political science. He loved animals and was a vegetarian, and his keen interest in animal welfare led him to become director of 2 societies for the prevention of cruelty to animals. He even wrote a book named Every Living Creature, urging people to become vegetarian and to be kind to animals. In between studying, he worked as a bank teller, a teacher, a farmer, a journalist, and a lumberjack, and his love of the natural world led him to build his own cabin by a grove of pine trees in Mount Airy, New York. It was here that he met his wife, Grace Hyde, who was an author of poems and plays, and where they raised their son, Robert. In Tune with the Infinite was published in 1897 and was apparently a favourite of Queen Victoria's. Henry Ford of Ford Automobiles remarkably attributes his success in business and in life to reading the book. Quite a recommendation. He was so taken by it, in fact, that he ordered many copies, which he gave out to his associates. Trine and Ford were friends and had many conversations about the secret of success, some of which Trine published in his book, The Power That Wins. Trine, though he was much influenced by the writings of Emerson, obviously read widely, and he quotes from various sources throughout the book, including Shakespeare, the Bible, Buddha, Ruskin, Browning, and Walt Whitman, among others, and his views and beliefs are a mixture of the many ideas that inspired him. So let's see what he has to tell us. The title does rather set the scene, In Tune with the Infinite. Trine vehemently believed that we are all one with the infinite spirit, as he calls it. And as this is the source of all power, wisdom, and love, we could each achieve our full potential if we could be in harmony with it. He conceives that we are creating our own heaven and hell on earth, depending on the quality of our connection with the infinite. Optimism, joy, love, and peace keep us connected and in a heavenly condition, whereas fear, worry, hatred, and pessimism keep us separated and in hell, from the Old English word hell, meaning to build a wall around. He observed that our thoughts create the world around us. He states, every castle, every statue, every painting, every piece of mechanism, everything had its birth, its origin, first in the mind of the one who formed it, before it received its material expression or embodiment. He also perceived that our lives, our state of health, our relationships, and success in business depend on the nature of our thoughts. He writes, the great law operating here is one with the great law of the universe, that like attracts like. We are continually attracting to us from birth the seen and the unseen side of life, forces and conditions most akin to those of our own thoughts. This mode of thinking is very similar to current ideas about manifesting the life you want. He states, determine resolutely to expect only what you desire. Then you will only attract what you wish for. He is galvanizing us to reclaim control over our thoughts, keep hold of the rudder, as he says, and use them to build a better life for ourselves and others. If like attracts like, then sending out love must surely attract love to us. And he tells a beautiful story to illustrate this about a friend of his who has an idyllic garden containing a lotus pond. This pond is surrounded by flowers, humming bees, and birdsong. As his friend is a lover of his kind, no notice bearing such words as trespassers will be prosecuted stands on his estate. But at the end of a beautiful byway that leads through the wild wood up to this enchanting spot stands a notice bearing the words, all are welcome to the lotus pond. All love our friend. Why? They can't help it. He so loves them, and what is his is theirs. He expands on this feeling of unity. He says, once we realize our connection with the spirit of infinite love, we will clearly see that we are one with one another. And we would then never desire to harm any being, as we would know this would harm the whole. There would be an end to all prejudices and hatred. He is always looking to the good of all and how we can best help one another. He encourages us, suggesting that rather than feeling any animosity towards someone who has hurt you and resolving to get them back, we can use such a situation to elevate both parties. Trine writes, when we come fully to realize the fact that all evil and error and sin, with all their consequent sufferings, come through ignorance, then whenever we see a manifestation of these in whatever form, if our hearts are right, we will have compassion, sympathy and compassion for the one in whom we see them. Compassion will then change itself into love, and love will manifest itself in kindly service. Such is the divine method. And so, instead of aiding in trampling and keeping a weaker one down, we will hold him up until he can stand alone and become the master. So let's have a look at our main quote for today. Not to love is not to live, or it is to live a living death. The life that goes out in love to all is the life that is full and rich and continually expanding in beauty and in power. Such is the life that becomes ever more inclusive and hence larger in its scope and influence. The larger the man or the woman, the more inclusive they are in their love and their friendships. The smaller the man or woman, the more dwarfed and dwindling their natures, the more they pride themselves upon their exclusiveness. Anyone, a fool or an idiot, can be exclusive. It comes easy. It takes and it signifies a large nature to be universal, to be inclusive. Only the man or the woman of a small, personal, self-centred, self-seeking nature is exclusive. The man or the woman of a large, royal, unself-centred nature never is. The small nature is the one that continually strives for effect. The larger nature never does. The one goes here and there in order to gain recognition, in order to attach himself to the world. The other stays at home and draws the world to him. The one loves merely himself, the other loves all the world, but in his larger love for all the world, he finds himself included. Well, that's all fairly straightforward. He makes his beliefs clearly known, and it seems hard to disagree with what he's saying. If we consider how we would expect a truly wise person to behave, it is just as he says, with love and compassion for all. It may sound difficult to love all the world, it may feel like too much, but chances are you have already experienced this, in those moments when you feel totally at ease, content and at one with everything. If love is the normal and natural order of the universe, as Trine puts it, then as long as we are not opposing love through hatred or malice of any kind, then the love will be there. It has to be. All we need do is to remain observant and ensure there are no barriers rising up between us and the ever-flowing love. So that could be our practice today. We could hold in mind that we are a conduit for the warming and life-giving power of love. And we can look for that pure love in everybody we meet and see what we find. I'll leave you with a last word from Trine. And in a sense, love is everything. It is the key to life, and its influences are those that move the world. Live only in the thought of love for all, and you will draw love to you from all. Thank you for listening. If you've enjoyed the talk, please do like it and share it, and have a lovely day.